In the name of God, hello and welcome. I'm Ali Razamadadi with the latest coming to you live from Tehran. Iran's health ministry says the coronavirus pandemic has claimed the lives of 55 people in the country over the past 24 hours, with the death toll now standing at 6,541, the lowest daily increase since the outbreak of the disease over 11 weeks ago. Kianush Jahanpur, the head of the Public Relations and Information Department at the Iranian Ministry of Health, said on Friday that the fatalities from the coronavirus pandemic reflect a relative downward trajectory. He added that 1,556 new cases have also been confirmed in the country over the past day, raising the overall tally to 104,691 people. The official said fortunately 83,837 patients have recovered and have been discharged from hospitals so far, while 2,711 patients infected with COVID-19 are still in critical conditions. He noted that 558,899 COVID-19 diagnostic tests have been carried out in the country until now. Jahanpur added that Iran's detection of those afflicted with the respiratory disease is growing on a daily basis and said it is now possible for those without any symptoms to be tested. Iran, one of the Middle Eastern countries hardest hit by the pandemic, has managed to contain the rate of COVID-19 infections, mainly relying on homegrown efforts for producing treatment and diagnostics, as the country continues to suffer from a series of U.S. sanctions that hampered its access to imports of medicine and vital medical equipment. Washington has also attempted to block a request by Iran to the International Monetary Fund for an emergency loan that the country needs to contain the pandemic. Iran's health ministry said on April 27th that the country has recorded a two-digit rise in the number of new coronavirus cases for the first time in more than a month, which indicates the declining curve of the COVID-19 disease in the country. Now, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani has emphasized that as the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic rages on across the globe, all efforts should be directed on lifting sanctions, resolving differences, and ending conflicts. He made the comments during a phone conversation with his Austrian counterpart.
President Hassan Rouhani says Iran is waiting for Europe's new initiative to bring about the lifting of U.S. sanctions. For his part, President Alexander Van der Bellen stressed his country and the EU oppose the sanctions and will continue their cooperation with Tehran. And they both stressed the need to strengthen Instex, a non-dollar direct payment channel which aims to facilitate trade with Iran without violating U.S. sanctions. It was set up by the E3, Britain, France and Germany in January 2019, but has only recently been used to send medical supplies and emergency funds to Iran amid the COVID-19 pandemic, which has hit the country hard.
In our view, Iran can do anything that the JCPOA allows. The JCPOA is the framework of all activities in our view. Our economic endeavors include, for instance, the agency Instex, which we have founded. But the JCPOA agreement is the framework for our relationship with Iran.
But the JCPOA has been sabotaged. US President Donald Trump withdrew from the landmark deal in 2018 and reimposed sanctions on the Islamic Republic. The European Union has urged the US to lift the sanctions, but Washington has rejected those calls. The United States will not be easing economic sanctions on Iran and is now escalating tensions with allies as it seeks to renew a UN arms embargo on Iran that is set to expire this year. The Iranian president says he has warned the P4+1 that renewing the arms embargo will be a grave mistake and a historic defeat will be awaiting them if they allow it.
America and some other countries must know that Iran will under no circumstances accept the violation of UN Security Council Resolution 2231. It is Iran's inalienable right that the arms embargo is lifted based on that resolution. Of course, our weapons, whether we make them or buy them, are for our own defence and for defending our nation. Our weapons are not like gasoline poured on fire. Our weapons are like water poured on fire.
Tehran has the support of Russia, which has repeatedly indicated it will oppose an extension, and China is not expected to go along with the US proposal either. Both have veto power on the Security Council.
Now, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Said Abbas Mousavi congratulated the World Red Cross and the Red Crescent Day in a message on his Twitter account on Friday. He said neither the COVID-19 pandemic nor the growing unilateralism nor the chain of sanctions can sound the death knell for convergence and multilateralism. He added that the World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day is reminiscent of pure models for the fight against the global threats. World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day is celebrated on May 8th every year. The day is the anniversary of the birth of Henry Dunant, who was born on May 8, 1828, and was the founder of International Committee of the Red Cross, the ICRC, and the first Nobel Peace Prize laureate. Also on Friday, Mousavi highlighted the irresponsible nature of the United States government, which has scrapped the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, also known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or the JCPOA, and many other international agreements. He noted that the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action is neither the first nor the last of the multilateral achievements Trump withdrew from. The United States regime has sought to secure its short-term interests at the cost of nations' long-term prosperity. Now, the United Nations Rights Chief has said that Syria's situation is a ticking time bomb as terrorist groups such as the ISIL outfit exploit the COVID-19 pandemic and heightened attacks on civilians. Michelle Bachelet on Friday said that various parties to the conflict in Syria appear to view the global focus on the COVID-19 pandemic as an opportunity to regroup and inflict violence on the population. She added, "We are receiving more reports every day of targeting and killing and bombings from one end of the country to the other, with many such attacks taking place in populated areas." The UN official voiced particular concern about an increase in ISIL attacks in the country. She said the deteriorating situation is a ticking time bomb that must not be ignored. According to the UN Rights Office, at least 35 civilians have been killed in improvised explosive devices or IED attacks in April, killing 28 more civilians than in bombings last month. The Rights Office said that the total of 33 IED attacks had occurred since the start of March, 26 of which hit residential neighborhoods and 7 others which targeted markets. Most of the attacks occurred in the northern and eastern parts of the country. Syria has been grappling with a brutal 9-year foreign-backed insurgency, which resulted in terrorist control over a large swathe of the country. Nevertheless, the Syrian government managed to gradually push back terrorist forces with the assistance of its allies, limiting terrorist presence mostly to the country's northwestern Idlib province. Attacks on Syrian forces have, however, increased in the past week, with 9 policemen being killed in the southwestern Daraa province and 11 soldiers being killed in an ISIL attack in eastern Syria. The uptick of attacks come as Syria confirmed its first coronavirus case in late March. According to the Syrian Health Ministry, 47 cases have so far been confirmed in the country, 3 of which have led to death. Speaking on Friday, Bachelet said that if current patterns of violence continue to spread, there is a risk the country will enter another spiral of extreme and widespread violence. The Rights Chief urged different sides in Syria to adhere to United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres' call for a global ceasefire amid the pandemic. And finally, Iranian health authorities say primary results of plasma therapy are promising and some COVID-19 patients have been saved.
Hopes are emerging for treatment of coronavirus patients through plasma therapy. According to Iranian health officials, the primary results of plasma therapy for the novel coronavirus disease are promising, and some patients have been saved from dying, but the definite results will become clear at the end of the project. The world's largest plasma therapy project for treatment of coronavirus patients is underway in Iran, under which a great number of studies and clinical trials has been carried out in the country. Almost 300 people who have recovered from COVID-19 have so far donated plasma, which will be used for researches and treating patients in Iran. Meanwhile, WHO representative in Iran, Dr. Christoph Hamelman, who has already praised Iran's efforts in the fight against the coronavirus, visited the plasma donation center at Iran's blood transfusion organization. During the visit, Dr. Christoph, who has recovered from the disease, donated his own plasma.
I had the chance today here at the IBTO to learn about the most recent trials which have been conducted. We are still waiting for the final analysis of the results, but there seem to be some promising indications among certain groups of patients. Some of those therapies, they are working in very severely diseased patients, and some of the therapies, they need to be used very early on, where patients have still a mild course. So there's still a lot of work to be done, and we are waiting in the moment for the results.
Plasma is supposed to be used for those patients with medium and severe levels of the disease. But with the pandemic wave of the disease, ICU patients were prioritized to receive plasma.
The plasma therapy project still continues, and we have achieved promising results, but we cannot officially announce anything until the results are finalized and confirmed.
Plasma therapy has proved to be effective in the treatment of other diseases, such as SARS, MERS, and Ebola. Salman Kujuri, Press TV, Tehran.
Well, that's it from me now. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us. Good night.